Hello, and welcome to the Gonzales Mitchell Show. I'm Clay Mitchell.
And I'm Patrick Gonzales.
And today we have a special guest. It is the executive director of the Maryland Auto Insurance, formerly known as MAIF. Is it that right, Al? It used to be the
That's
MAIF
right.
program.
Exactly right.
Al's been there for several years, and he's here to talk to us about his background, the insurance industry, and the effect of all these storms and environmental things that are going on that as it affects insurance rates. Al, welcome.
Hey, Clay, Patrick, thank you for having me. It's good to see you both again. And the quick version for me is I'm a has-been on multiple levels. I have been in the insurance industry for about 40 years. And if you could name it, I've probably done it. Also, during those 40 years, I had the pleasure of spending 13 years in the Maryland House of Delegates, and I've had the opportunity to serve two different governors as Maryland's insurance commissioner. And the Maryland Insurance Commissioner, for folks that don't know, leads the Maryland Insurance Administration. That's the state agency that regulates insurance. So in my 40 years, I've had the opportunity to participate in the insurance industry as an active participant, both running my own business and working for a couple of different carriers. I've had the opportunity to see it from a legislative vantage point and also as a regulator. So I've seen just about all of it, and it's been a fun ride and a great industry.
Now, Maryland Auto Insurance, the company you're the entity which you're the executive director
Sure.
of now, what is it that you do with them, and what does the agency do?
So, as the executive director, I lead the organization, serving a independent board of directors that are appointed by the governor. And Maryland Auto is a state agency that offers automobile insurance. So we operate just like every other automobile insurance carrier, except for we only serve those individuals that cannot get insurance in the standard market. So we can only provide insurance to folks that have been canceled by their current carrier or turned down if they're shopping. So our policyholders are bad drivers. They may be drunk drivers. And interestingly, we serve a lot of folks that are turned down because they have financial challenges, poor credit, and those kinds of things.
Now, Gonzalez, Patrick, do you have any questions about insurance for Mr. Redmer?
Yes. Well, a couple of thoughts. I've known Al and I have been friends for quite a while. I've had the pleasure of working with Al on a few different projects. And all I can say, Mr. Mitchell, is that I know that me personally and the citizens of Maryland are in good hands with Al Redmer at the helm.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's very kind. Thank you.
Yeah, we were thinking of, with all the stories about insurance that are coming out. We know what happened down in Florida and the problems that they're going to have and are having already. How can we get them to talk about this? Well, there's only one man in the state of Maryland you can go to talk about insurance. That's Mr. Redmer.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
That you were
Well,
insurance commissioner
and
under Ehrlich and Hogan.
Correct. Yes.
Correct. Go ahead. Go ahead, Patrick.
yeah, real quick though, real quick. I got to interject this while I'm thinking about it. Like a good neighbor, Al Redmer is there, and don't ever forget it.
Now I'll have that jingle stuck in my head the rest of the day.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah,
Patrick.
yeah.
Now we were talking the the effects of these storms. They hit Florida. They're hitting the coastline all the time. There's fire and floods out west.
Yeah, yeah.
There's more 330 million people, I think, in this country now. things are going to happen, the effect of all of these claims on the insurance infrastructure, what do you see as the problems today that need to be cured? What does it look like? How we're going to solve in the future?
Sure. Well, it's going to be the effects of this are going to be significant and long lasting. There's a couple reminders though. It really is critical for folks to meet and talk to a trusted advisor to evaluate what their specific risks are, to get information regarding those risks and make important decisions about how to handle it. We all have risk. We can choose to insure them or not, but by not insuring it, that doesn't mean the risk goes away. That means we're now self-insured. And the recent hurricanes are an example of that. There are hundreds, probably thousands of people that have been devastated, both personally and their property, that never bought flood insurance. They probably never considered flood insurance because they don't live on the ocean. They don't live on a river. And it's a reminder that you don't have to be in immediate danger to have the risk. So it really is critical to meet with that trusted advisor. And oh, by the way, not just regarding flooding, but earthquakes. Like flood, most earthquakes are not covered by your homeowner's policy. So to get it added doesn't cost a lot of money. And again, if you choose not to do it, that's fine, but don't lack the coverage because you didn't make an informed decision. So there's a lot of different variables that come into play with the effects of these hurricanes. On a side note, I became insurance commissioner the first time in 2003. I was commissioner 3 months when we got hit by Hurricane Isabel. So I got to see these kinds of things up close and personal. So property insurance generally has gone up and will continue to go up for a couple of reasons. Number one, home prices have gone up along with construction costs. So the value that you need to insure is greater than it was a couple of years ago. That's going to require a higher cost. Secondly, most folks don't know this, but insurance companies like us buy insurance to protect themselves from risk. So let me give you an example. If I have an $800,000 property and I lose it in a fire, chances are the insurance company, they're going to write me a check for the $800,000, but they're going to submit a claim to another insurance carrier called reinsurance, where they will get reimbursed a part of that based on the agreement that they have established. So the result of that is, even if we have a homeowner's company that only does business regionally, let's say in the Mid-Atlantic region, they're buying reinsurance, and that reinsurance company is probably also doing business in Florida and Texas and the Midwest and the West Coast, where they're seeing tornadoes and hurricanes and wildfires and all these other things. So the significant expense in other parts of the country are driving up reinsurance costs that get passed along to our insurance carriers, who naturally pass that cost on to us. Specifically related to the hurricanes, now this is going to affect the price, but it also affects the dysfunctional nature of the claim process with the flood insurance. So the claims that you have a loss, the claims adjuster comes out and says, Well, I think that you can repair it for X amount of dollars because they're figuring out the price of plywood and lumber and this and that. Well, that price may have been good the day of the hurricane or the day before the hurricane, but now we have thousands of other claims. We have thousands of other properties that are damaged. Now we're having a battle over lumber and plywood, and we're also having a battle over the contractors that can do this work. So if you think the contractor is going to do the work for the same price a month after the hurricane as they did before, that's not the case. Supply and demand will exponentially drive up the cost of these claims, which will drive up the cost of future premiums. And then naturally, we just have an increase in frequency. With insurance, whether it's homeowners or auto, the two buzzwords, I'll call them, are frequency and severity. So what's the frequency in which claims occur multiplied by the severity, which it costs to settle the claim? And with property coverage specifically, both of those numbers have increased significantly, in part because of the severe weather caused by climate change or bad luck or whatever it is. You know, we can debate as to what's causing the severe weather, but you can't debate we've had significant weather, and it looks like we're going to have it for a period of time.
Well, does it look, and I'm just gathering this from the news from the past few weeks with Helene and Milton in Florida. There were those on television talking about in order to have homeowners insurance, even auto insurance in Florida, there may need to be a larger share of risk with policyholders, as they were talking about having writing insurance only if a homeowner would accept, say, a 25 or $50,000 deductible, then they would be able to insure it.
So yeah, you're exactly right, and that already exists in some parts of the country. As a matter of fact, I believe in Ocean City, you have some carriers that will offer coverage, but with a separate deductible for wind damage. So that's a thing. It also might be worth property owners asking to increase their own deductible. If you've got a $500 deductible, you might want to look at a $1,000 deductible or $5,000, except also part of the issue, and this was a significant issue in Florida, but it's all over, and I'll just refer to it as questionable claim practices. You would have contractors that almost blatantly would advertise, we will get you a free roof. So what they do is they give a free roof inspection. They will find some flawed shingles, and they'll check their database and find out that there was a hailstorm that went through that area 4 months ago. So we're going to file a claim alleging that damage occurred because of that hailstorm, and we're going to get you a free roof. Now, in some states, regulators have responded to that, and in some states, insurance carriers are they're not writing the check for an entire roof like they used to.
I've seen it also with aluminum siding. There'd be whole neighborhoods of people had aluminum siding, and these contractors will come in there, and all of a sudden you'll see a neighborhood with brand new siding on all of the houses. And what can be done to prevent those types of practices? Is there anything, say, the state insurance administration or the state legislature can do?
Yeah, so the insurance administration has taken steps, and the legislators have as well. So the Insurance Administration cracked down on contractors inappropriately acting in the capacity of a public adjuster, where if a storm did blow through, you'd have people knocking on doors within an hour, asking folks to sign contracts to do work. We'll have it done, and these folks would be negotiating with the insurance carrier, even though they were not licensed as a public adjuster. So those things were cracked down on. Also, the legislature and the Insurance Administration has taken steps to regulate the contracts that do exist between public adjusters and consumers.
I think I may, because of the show, have an insurable interest in Patrick. Patrick, you don't mind if I take out like $100 million life insurance policy on you? Just please, pal. He's ignoring me.
Can't.
You can't, you, oh, he can't hear. Oh, I have to get him some ear insurance now.
Okay.
Well,
Now I can hear you again. Sorry.
okay. We weren't talking about you. Don't worry. Um, what?
Clay, another issue with driving up the cost of insurance is the cost of new regulations. So if you built if your house was built in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, pick an era, and you now have a loss, if the loss is to a certain degree in Maryland, at least in Baltimore County, it's 50%. So if you have a loss of 50% or more, you now have to comply with all of the new regulations and building codes. And so that might include, now you have to put sprinklers in your house. Now you might have to elevate your house to a certain degree. So there's all kinds of regulatory costs that are also increasing the cost of property insurance.
When the typical insurance agent goes out, do they make policyholders aware of these types of issues and changes?
So the good ones do. The good ones do. That's why I mentioned you really should meet with a trusted advisor. The bad news is most people, they'll contact somebody and say, "This is what I have, and I want a competitive price for the exact same thing." Well, shopping is good, but you need to make sure you have the right thing to memorialize something that is incorrect is not necessarily the best thing to do. So it really is critically important to identify all of your risk, collect information, and then make an informed decision. So, understand you're not covered for flood, you're not covered for earthquake, and then get the information and you make the decision as to whether it's something you should or should not do. But to be tragically devastated and not be covered and not know that you're not covered, I guarantee you hundreds or thousands of people from these storms had damage due to flood and did not know they didn't have flood insurance. They assumed it was covered under their homeowner's policy.
Here's a mystery that I always wanted solved. If I stay with a certain insurance company for a long time, and say I want to go out and price shop now, and I go with another insurance company, is there any advantage to having a long-term relationship with a single company and not do all that price shopping?
So, I would like to say, loyalty is rewarded, but I've heard, many stories where it wasn't. But it's you need to keep folks honest. And again, you need to make an informed decision. So, hey, I'm as loyal as anybody, and if I'm paying more than I otherwise could, and I've got a good relationship, I'm going to keep that relationship. But at what price? And the price is what what makes a difference with some people. So again, I can't say it's a good decision or a bad decision. What I think is you need to ask questions, get information, and make an informed decision.
Patrick, can you hear us? Do you have any questions?
That's what
There it
I
is.
take from it, guys, is like anything in life. You cannot legislate. Dude, don't even bring, can I hear you into this? I think like anything in life, you can't legislate morality. You can regulate behavior. But what I take from Al is that ultimately each of us as citizens have to, we got to use our best judgment. And I feel so bad for those people down south. I
Yeah.
just don't know what to say.
It's really sad. It really is. A lot of people have been devastated, let alone the death that occurred. Tragic stuff.
Well, Al, we thank you for joining us today. I learned some things I didn't know about the insurance industry, and I think I'm a smart guy, but I get around smart people like you, and I'm not so smart anymore.
Yeah. Clay, Patrick, it's good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, don't forget, it's time to say goodbye, Patrick.
Good to see you, guy.
Thank you.